Welcome back, ladies and gents.
It's an emergency pod. It's our second ever. But
Doomsday.
Doomsday indeed calls for what we call, ladies and gentlemen, an emergency. This is an emergency state. We are in a state of emergency. We are in a state of helplessness. We are in a state of excitement. We are in a state of confusion.
Talking about Doomsday. The trailer.
And the poster, have you seen the poster?
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor, go to Robert Downey Jr.'s Instagram, go to the Russo brothers' Instagram, Agbo, Marvel Studios, everybody's posting it. It looks shocking that it's not a million floating heads.
No, it looks very cool.
Very interesting.
Is this in Latveria, or is this in Battle World, or?
That's definitely, to me, Latveria, and in my opinion, that's Mommy and Baby Doom.
Mommy Doom.
Normally, that's a plot point, a driving thing for Doom is mommy issues. Mommy's maybe gone away and he needs to go get mommy, or mommy's dead and he needs to bring her back to life, etc., etc. Usually that's what's going on for him, so that would make a lot of sense that would be a big part of his motivation.
Yeah, overall, thoughts on trailer. I mean, I said in our reaction, which is on our socials, that it's just cool seeing everyone together. I don't think we've seen that a lot recently in the MCU, characters crossing over, because I just don't think the movies have been as connected. We got that a little bit in Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four with some end credits and everything, but
barely compared to back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day, I think we got it a little bit more. And there just hasn't been an Avengers level movie in a while, an Avengers movie or like a Civil War type thing. There hasn't been a movie like that in a while. So it is fresh to kind of see, we're seeing Ant-Man next to Reed Richards. We're seeing, the Thing talk to M'Baku and all this stuff. So Namor's back. All the people from the X-Men universe are back. It's all, that was my main takeaway. It was we knew we were going to see them on screen again together, but it's just been so long since that happened. It does feel epic and grand, and it's a lot of fun.
All right, let's start talking about specifics, because this is now our reaction is my fourth time seeing that trailer, because they showed it to us twice at CinemaCon, and I did watch it before we reacted to it, because I heard that and I just wanted to make sure of that going into it, and I was correct except for one scene that we'll get to in a minute. So you had heard 99.9% of that trailer described to you. Now that you've seen it, and this goes for our audience as well, everybody that watched my breakdown of the Doomsday CinemaCon trailer a couple months ago, now that you've seen it, pen has been put to paper, what are your biggest takeaways? Was there something that you imagined being way differently than the way I described it, or was everything pretty accurate? Is there something that I described that didn't excite you, but now that you've seen it, it gets you way more excited?
No, that's basically kind of how I imagined everything. The M'Baku, Ben Grimm meeting, we had kind of seen that before in one of the early release things.
One of the 4 teasers that came before Avatar.
And in one of those teasers, you see Xavier and Magneto.
Yep. And that Cyclops shot of him shooting.
Right. So we've seen some of this before, so it all kind of looked and felt like I thought it was going to. I think I was pretty excited when you told me the Gambit Shang-Chi fight.
Yeah.
That increased after seeing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so smooth. It's so cool the way he's flipping the rings and the cards and the staff all going at once or whatever. And then the shot where he does a flip and then slams the ground.
Yep.
So I would say that's the only one that kind of stood out to me a little bit more than I thought it would. I mean, you described this already, so that's the most epic part of the trailer, but I knew that, So
yeah. The trailer's a little bit different. There are shots that are a lot more finished. That being said, not to be a negative Nancy this early on, because we're going to gas this trailer up a ton, and we'll be comparing it to other legendary Marvel trailers and superhero trailers and in general. I still do believe that shot of Thor coming down on him with Stormbreaker looks really unfinished to me, and I think I'd be very disappointed if that was the shot in the movie.
What looks bad about it? Because
we'll break it down on the Patreon like we just explained, but if you stop it, it's just whatever's behind him is not behind him, and the electricity, the lightning that's around him does it look nearly as good as the lightning usually looks around Thor in moments like the Ragnarok bridge scene or Bring Me Thanos in Infinity War? It just doesn't look that good.
I don't know if I agree about the lightning. I'll need to watch it again. I think the lightning looked fine. I do agree with you that the surrounding area or space that he's in doesn't look as good as it could be. You can obviously tell that that's not real, but the lightning looked fine to me.
For sure. I'd be interested to see if that's a fake out, by the way. If that is just a trailer moment and that scene happens in a different location.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
The Thor, the Doom stopping Thor shot.
2 fingers, yep.
He's the only one there, right? So would it disappoint you if that was like a vision or like something that Thor dreamed, or it doesn't actually really happen because it's in this like weird, destroyed land. Thor's the only one there. There's no one else around. He attacks. Is Thor just like really anxious and dreams that? Because I wouldn't put him past him to potentially do that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen, but as I was watching it, I was like, oh, what if this doesn't even happen?
I actually think that that's a very fair theory that wouldn't surprise me at all. Now that like you're describing it that way, it's a vision or it's some kind of like telepathic.
Yeah, like Doom is sending a message to Thor or something, and he jumps into his mind. And in the dream world, Thor's immediate response is to attack him, and he's just doing that in the dream, and then they talk.
Yeah, they talk.
That would suck. But
it's interesting if that's what they do. Would they put that in that many trailers, though? I guess so.
Yeah.
Because then it's like the ultimate fake out.
Yeah, it looks cool. They're going to put anything that looks cool in the trailer.
Yeah, but then Doom can say something in that's like, I'm actually way stronger than this, by the way.
Yeah, he's going to say it just like that.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of talking.
Yeah.
Got to talk about Robert Downey Jr.'s accent as Dr. Doom. What's your biggest takeaway after hearing it for the first time?
I mean, it just doesn't sound like him. Like
At all.
I really, really had to try and hear RDJ in there, and it was tough.
Yeah.
So that excites me.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really cool. Because, one of the, what we're afraid of is like, oh, it's just Tony Stark again. You're just bringing RDJ back. But if he's completely different, he's a completely different character. He sounds completely different, and he's actually taking it seriously enough to create that accent and do it well. He's not just getting a check where he's coming back and he's just being himself again.
Yeah.
That seems like there's a little bit more care put into it, and I kind of like that, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It makes a lot of sense. It was interesting. The first time I heard it, I was like, who the fuck is that? Is that Patrick Stewart?
Yeah.
And then I was in an auditorium. There were a lot of people talking, so it was kind of hard to hear. And then the second time, people were like, that's RDJ. And then so these last 2 times I've watched the trailer, you can kind of hear RDJ in there, but it's really an impressive job. Big takeaway for me is what he's saying. He is coming, whoever he's talking to as a friend. He's talking to as a friend, being like, he doesn't say incursion, but it implies incursion is happening. We have to band together to stop it. So it's interesting. I was talking to somebody the other day about this. This is based on the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars from like 10 years ago, something like that, very recent. That Doom, sneaky, kind of a plotter, a schemer. It'd be interesting if a big part of the plot is Doom is coming to our heroes as a friend, outsmarting them in some way. They lose, and that's how Battle World is created and stuff like that. It's interesting to think about what's going to play out in this movie and these movies.
Yeah.
Don't know if we're going to get a proper Doom origin. I can't imagine the opening scene isn't a proper Doom origin for 15 to 20 minutes.
You got to introduce the character. Like we haven't ever really gotten him. We got him in Fanforstic. Shut up. And we got him in 2000 whatever. But we have not gotten Doom at all in the MCU.
Yeah.
It's not like Spider-Man where this is the third reboot of Spider-Man, and you don't need to do his origin in Homecoming. You know what I mean? He's a huge character.
You've never properly done anything with Latveria, by the way. It's like one line in the 05 Fantastic Four. And forgive me if I'm forgetting the Latverian scene in Fanforstic. You know what I'm saying? He's just Yeah, I think he's
doesn't-
just
no.
a guy.
No, yeah, I don't think he's just in the lab and then he gets transported to that place. God, that movie was bad.
Awful movie.
Oh, man, that
all-time bad movie.
That movie was bad.
Terrible movie. But so we've never done Latveria properly. But now that I'm thinking about it, what buildup do we get for Thanos? We get the after credit scene in Avengers. We get the after credit scene in Age of Ultron, and we get the scene in Guardians.
Scene, yeah.
If that's it, obviously that's way more than we've gotten for Doom and Latveria. But they do his origin. It's not the opening of Infinity War, so you don't need to open with the Latveria.
No, I don't think you necessarily need to open with it. But I will say Thanos' goal and the things that are involved in that are the Infinity Stones, which are in basically every single project.
Yeah, we've been building to that.
Right? So Thanos himself only shows up 3 or 4 times, which is still 3 or 4 times more than Doom.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
Infinity Stones show up every single movie, basically. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Or
yeah.
at least multiple times a phase. So
Yeah,
other than Fantastic Four,
nothing.
nothing.
And we're not getting anything because Spider-Man's. I mean, maybe they tease it a little bit.
Maybe in the end credit, yeah. But
Maybe. But I doubt it. Based on how they've been talking about Spider-Man.
yeah, Spider-Man's going to be mostly its own thing, I would assume, unless he dies at the end.
I don't think we see, but I don't think Spider-Man is in Doomsday. I think Spider-Man is in Secret Wars. And I think I have a pretty good idea on how that's going to come to play.
Yeah.
But
What if they introduce Miles? Out of nowhere. Don't talk about it at all.
You're talking about in Spider-Man?
No,
Or-
in Secret Wars.
I don't think it would be smart for the MCU to do that.
Isn't because Miles is in Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Not a lot though.
No.
They kind of just show up.
Yeah.
They're just in like a spacecraft, and then they're like, "Hey."
Yeah. I don't think taking a Miles that exists in another universe that we've never spent any time with and bringing him to our universe is the way to do that, Miles.
No, I don't
in the
think so
MCU.
either.
I think in the MCU it should be an MCU Miles.
But Secret Wars definitely can be a reset,
I think it might be.
like plot wise.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was a time to do a reset, it's when all the universes go away.
Yeah.
and then at the end, Franklin just kind of decides what we do now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said this in our trailer reaction as well. Still not sure about Cap.
Yes. Let's talk about it in detail.
Now he looks amazing. He looks sexy. That long hair plus the beard, tight shirt.
Just completely disagree with you.
No, he looks great.
I think that wig looks awful.
What makes you think it's a wig?
It looks terrible on him. If it's
Why do you say such things?
If it's not a wig, then
you said it as a fact, like it was a wig, and then it looks terrible.
I hope for dear Lord that it's a wig. I pray to God that is a wig. I just can't believe that it looks that bad. I can't believe you're saying anything positive about it. It's my only other negative in the trailer.
It just looks like hair, my dude.
But it's like coming out like this. It doesn't look nowhere near as good as it does in Infinity War, which it's the exact same.
People
haircut.
can like change up their hairstyles. I've done it before. Just put some product in and he combs it like this.
I think the difference is that you look a lot better when you changed your hair. This looks fucking terrible.
He looks sexy, literally any hairstyle he's ever had. So I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, Chris Evans. He's obviously gorgeous. I'm just saying I don't like the hair. I hope that's not his hair the entire movie.
Because it's combed up?
It looks bad.
But what looks bad about it?
Why is it out here?
Because he combed it that way.
Comb it a different way that it looks good.
No, he looks sexy. I don't know, dude.
What do you think of the shirt? What do you think of that suit? Do you think that's what he wears the whole movie?
No,
Because in all the leaked promotional material, like the poster, the leaked thing that leaked the other day, that was like
he's
all of
in
them,
that.
he's in the t-shirt, and people are freaking out about it.
No, I'm sure he'll suit up at some point.
We hope.
No, so I've said this on the podcast before, and the reason that I don't like Cap coming back is because you brought back all these people,
Absolutely.
right? And the X-Men universe, I can excuse, it's an incursion, whatever, and they're not really in the MCU, multiverse theory, whatever. You're bringing back Kevin Feige's always there. You're bringing back the Russos, right? And then you brought back RDJ. and you brought back RDJ, but at least he's not the same character.
Yep.
And like when that was first announced to me, it did seem a little desperate.
Yep.
I was excited for it, and I still am.
This moment is incredible, though.
That's an incredible moment,
Yep.
and we were freaking out about it. But at the same time, I was like, okay, MCU's in trouble. After 10 years, they have to bring back the Russos and RDJ, and that's all they got. Mm-hmm. But at least he's playing a different character, like we talked about. He's doing a different voice. Like, it sounds really good.
Yep. If you would have pitched us, when he was revealed 2-3 years ago at this point, when we left that dinner. It was 2 years ago, something like that. Mm-hmm. If you would have told us at that dinner, when we found out the news that Robert Downey Jr. was Dr. Doom, you played us his voice. You showed us the costume. We're not going to see him in any of the promotional material without the mask on. We'd have been like, okay. Like, we buy it a lot more now. Just wanted to interject. Continue.
No, yeah, I agree to a certain extent. And like, they're still obviously going to have to tackle the fact that he is the same person. I still think they will do
100%.
that. Like, there's no, like, why would you cast RDJ if there's not some sort of plot point or something that you're doing with the fact that he is our universe's Tony?
100% agree.
But, you know, in Endgame, we got 3 main characters ends. Black Widow, Cap, and Tony.
Yep.
And you've brought back 2 of them, basically. And, at least one of them is a different character. But Cap isn't.
Yep.
It's not even a different Cap. It's the same Cap.
We think.
I mean, when he says, hey, buddy, and does this, I think that's the whole point of showing him. That's
he does say, hey, pal.
I just, that is a level of taking Endgame and beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
That I still can't get over. He looks great. I'm still interested to see what they do, but that is bringing back Magneto, bringing back Charles Xavier, bringing back
We've
Gambit.
never seen them in the MCU.
You know, and all of that I can excuse or get behind. Cap, I'm still like, I think he should just not be in this. Because Thor's still in it, but Thor's still in the MCU. He never died. He never went to another universe. He never had a wrapped up with a bow ending in Endgame. He did not have an ending. Endgame was Endgame for a reason. For at least 3 main characters. And if you're effing with 2/3 of them, and at least 1/3 where you're not even changing anything, I just...
And that's the worst one because he's got the best ending. Like,
Cap?
I think you can argue... I think somebody could make the argument to me that they could bring Tony back, and I think I'd be okay with it. Like,
no. I don't agree with you. I don't agree with the people on the internet that think Cap's ending is terrible and that he's leaving Bucky and it's so against his character arc, and he's talking at the beginning of Endgame how we need to let go. Yes, he was giving that speech, and then 5 minutes later, as soon as he sees there's an opportunity to change the past, he goes and does it. That.
But I think that's so great.
I think that's fine. I love Cap's ending, but I think Tony's ending is just as good or better. And his sacrifice, his whole entire character is wanting to protect the world, and then her saying you can rest, and Spider-Man saying, you know, talking to him, and then him, I am Iron Man. Everything that was a perfect ending to his character. Do not bring him back. Absolutely not.
We see Loki in this trailer.
Loki's in it.
We see him holding his TVA card. So is he no longer the god of stories? Because he's not in that whole fit. What happened to the ending of Loki? Or is this a Loki variant? Is this a different Loki? That's another TVA agent? What's going on there? Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, but we never see almost the entire trailer is exclusively all these characters interacting. There's not a single shot that they show where one big character is not interacting with another.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
The only one is the Loki one.
Where he's alone.
They show him alone. So is he just going to be like a cameo where they go to the TVA or something? Or is he going to actually be integral? Because I can't think of a single scene where it's not like they're showing everyone meet. That's the whole point of this trailer. It's like, look at all these people meeting.
Yeah. It reminds me of that early Infinity War trailer where it's like, I like your plan, except it sucks. So let's go with my plan and then it'll actually work. That scene was just a trailer moment for us to be like, holy shit, the Guardians and Iron Man and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. You know, like that.
Yeah.
That's what this trailer is.
Yeah, which I love.
Except for Thor versus Doom and this Loki scene.
But even Thor versus Doom, that's
the two of them.
characters.
Yeah. And then that's how we get the narration from Thor.
Yeah.
Which I think is good. I think his narration is a lot stronger in the Thor trailer
Teaser.
from the Avatar movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dialogue, because it was more Shakespearean, it was more dramatic. Also, the shots were better. How did you think the movie looked? How do you think Avengers Doomsday trailer looked?
I think there
Was it gray, Andrew?
Oh boy, don't
You're
ask
a
me.
big gray guy. You
No,
always
I'm
say
not.
that the MCU looks super gray.
No, I'm not. The only one I think the Thor backdrop
Yeah.
was clearly not real.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think that looked fine. I think Doom just looks good from the one shot we got of him. I'm trying to think. The fights looked good. Gambit, Shang-Chi, that always looks good. We had a lot of stuff indoors. A lot of the fighting was indoors. The only other shot that I can think of that was expansive and obviously had a lot of CGI was the Wakandans meeting the Fantastic Four.
Which is, you see in the trailer that Namor's like flying around. So the Atlanteans have opened.
Yeah, well, you see the waves are back.
Yes.
So they're in the ocean.
Like Moses.
I think Namor flying looked a little
Wonky. Yep.
wonky. But
I fucking hate his fit on the throne. His costume looked really bad to me. I just don't like it. I'm not saying it looks like it doesn't look CGI. It's clearly a costume. I just think it's an ugly costume to put him in, especially considering his costume in Wakanda Forever is peak.
yeah.
Peak. Yeah, I'm interested to see how much we get of him in this movie. Is he going to be an antagonistic force in this movie? Is he one of the guys that betrays our team and works with Doom? It's kind of a slimy guy like that usually.
Yeah, him and Black Panther in the comics were
Oh yeah.
other people were killing each other. They were on the same team, but they hated each other. They were like, as soon as we're done with this, I'm killing you. And he's like, cool, I'm killing you. Like,
Yeah.
they hated each other.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're gonna do that with him and Shuri. It would make sense after the last movie. But yeah, he's kind of the one that we're like, to stop the incursion, it's like we either got to destroy their universe or let both universes be destroyed. And no one wants to do that because they don't want to kill trillions of people. And Namor's like, I'll do it. He doesn't care. So I kind of actually liked that. I don't know if they'll do that with our Namor, obviously, but
Do you think he's going to try and smash Vanessa Kirby's
I sure
Invisible Woman?
hope.